Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I want to thank God for this opportunity to be here this morning. Protocol has been established, but I'll say it again. We want to give honor to the pastor of this church. Amen. District Elder Eric Battle, and to his wonderful First Lady, Marie Battle, to Bishop Battle, my sometime friend. And I also want to give honor to Pastor Patterson, who's been my friend for quite some time. And I'm going to be as brief as I can so he can come up. So, but I was called by Brother Sterling a few weeks ago, and I gladly accepted the topic this morning of bone of my bone. So we're going to talk this morning from the text that he gave me, Genesis chapter 2, verses 23 through 25. And to the most beautiful woman in the room, my wife. I just realized that since you're sitting next to my wife rather than yours. All right. It says, and again, this is going to be light and jovial, but serious at the same time. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." There are 4 points to this text. Number one, you leave your mom and your dad behind. Number two, a husband is to cleave to his wife. The word cleave means to glue. Super glue yourself to your wife. All right? Number three, they became one flesh. They were, as the scripture was read this morning by Brother Sterling, they twain became one. All right? And they were naked and not ashamed. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But God said he made Eve out of one of Adam's ribs. The question that I began to ask myself was, why the rib? We've heard it wasn't the foot because the man wasn't supposed to step on the woman. We heard it wasn't the head because she wasn't the head of the man. And then we heard that it was because of the side because she was supposed to walk by him. All that sounds good, but let's think of another possibility. Adam said, "This is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." The word bone, they two became one. The word bone in this text means having the same nature and the nearest relation. God took one of Adam's ribs and made him a partner that was supposed to be of the same nature and the person that is the closest to him. Your spouse knows things about you that no one else knows. Not your mom, not your dad, not your best friend. Your spouse knows you for who you are. And if you're going to function as man and wife, you have to treat each other correctly. Otherwise, you're going to have a contentious marriage, a distant marriage. In fact, one of the texts in Proverbs says is that a man would rather be in the corner of a rooftop rather than to be in a house with a brawling woman. Whenever you're arguing, you put distance between yourselves. So the significance of it being a rib or it being bone was because this person is the closest thing to me. And what is interesting about it is that ribs can grow back.
What?
Ribs grow back. Adam didn't walk around with one less rib. According to the National Scoliosis Foundation and Dr. Serena Hu, assistant professor in the Department of Orthopedic Surgery at the University of California, ribs can grow back. So God didn't want Adam walking around with one less rib. Ribs grow back in 2 to 3 months. God wasn't hurting Adam to make Eve. He was helping Adam by taking something out of him and making her. And it says those two are the closest relationship. They are bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Okay? So, if you're the closest person to your spouse, you know things about them, so they are naked to you. There's nothing that you can't see about your spouse. And it's important for you to handle that information correctly, so you don't hurt yourself or your spouse. The text says in Amos 3:3, can two walk together except they be agreed? Now, issues are going to come up in our marriage. Issues are going to come up in my family, her family. Issues are going to come up in the neighborhood, at our jobs. But the one person that is closest to you has to handle you in a way that no one else can handle you. They have to take all of the good, the bad, and the ugly about you. And let's just be real. All of us have flaws. We all have things that we're embarrassed about. We all have things that we wish nobody knew about us. But your spouse knows them. And God said, I'm going to make a helpmeet for you. In our marriage, we have to be each other's helpmeet. Helpmeet is someone that is suitable for you. Someone who knows you, accepts you, loves you, treasures you, and adores you. They look at you, and while they see things that you don't like and they don't like, they don't hold it over your head. They help you. They don't hurt you.
They don't hold it over your head.
I do marriage counseling after the seminars. Anyway. Okay, how about this? The taller of the two doesn't hold it over the shorter person's head. And the shorter person doesn't get a ladder and then hold it over the taller person's head. But this is significant because you share your life with the other person. You're no longer two people. You're one married couple that's glued together. You have to make your spouse the most important person in your life. No exceptions. Your spouse is number one after God. Nobody else. Not mom, not dad, not bishop, not pastor.
Hey, wait a minute, go back.
If I want to go out with Bishop, I talk to my wife and say, hey, honey, we got anything going on? No, go ahead. All right. Bishop, I'll be over soon. I have to answer to my wife in a way that I don't have to answer to Bishop. I can hide things from Bishop. I can hide things from Pastor. I can't hide things from God. My wife says, just go to sleep. Go to sleep. I'll take care of it. She's being playful. It's just we love to banter with each other. We tickle each other. We have pillow fights. We poke each other. We do all those kind of things. Bishop, leave my wife alone. But again, your spouse is your rock. It's your confidant. It's the person that does things with you and for you that other people cannot do. Men know what I'm talking about. They do things, and we do things that we only do for one person. So it's important for us to build each other up. Lift the person up. How many of you all know life is hard? And at work, you get beat up emotionally, physically. You're drained. And I'm telling you, I drive for a living, and I deal with everybody's attitudes while they're driving. If somebody's upset, it comes out in everything that they do. If somebody's happy, it comes out in everything they do. So it's important for you to make your spouse the happiest person in the world. You have to build them up. And you have to meet each other's needs. So, here's a man's greatest need. A man needs respect. And a woman needs love. There was a survey done about 10 years ago of several thousand men all over the country, different religions, different nationalities. And the study showed that men would rather be respected than loved. Women, think about the way you interpret love. The way you interpret love is not the way your husband interprets love. There's a book that's been out many years about knowing love languages. Women have different love languages. Just among the women. There are several different love languages, and men have love languages that are different among themselves, and they're different from women. But every man needs respect. Think about it. If I blow my horn to let another man in front of me know that the light turned green, he can be disrespected by me blowing my horn. I learned that while with my good friend Bishop Battle. Many years ago, we were driving down by CMC, Central Medical Center. And it was a one-way street, cars parked on each side, and one lane down the middle. Leave my wife alone, Bishop. And there was a black gentleman in the car, and a black gentleman standing outside the car, talking to the black gentleman in the car. Now, I'm a truck driver. We're trained to let people know that they see you. It's important in defensive driving to make sure that people see you. Well, I let them know that I was behind them by tapping my horn, not blowing my horn, but tapping my horn. And immediately Bishop Battle said, "What are you doing? Don't do that." I said, "Why?" He said, "Man, they'll kill you for doing it." And when I tapped my horn, the gentleman standing outside the car looked at me in a way that made me feel threatened. That's disrespect. Men get disrespected in ways that women do not understand. So, I want you all at some point over the next few days, wives, to ask your husband to teach me how not to disrespect you. Listen to him. And even if you don't understand it, I'm telling you this because I know I had to have this conversation with my wife. There was a day, my son was maybe 8 or 9 years old. And my wife and my daughter and I and my son were sitting watching TV, and I don't remember who said something, but my wife and my daughter said something, and I saw my son's face go. So I paused the TV, and I said, "Did you all know you just hurt DJ?" They said, "No, we didn't." "No, we didn't." I said, "Yes, you did." I said, "DJ, did they just hurt you?" He said, "Yeah, Dad, they did." And I explained it to him. It's because men interpret things differently than the way women interpret things. Now, when God took Adam's rib, he formed out of it a woman. We're not exactly alike, but we're still one. And God made the woman differently to be what Adam needed, and so Adam would be what Eve needed. So a man needs respect while a woman needs love. Men, we have to do the same thing to our wives. We need to have that conversation. You need to let me know how you feel loved. What makes you feel loved? In Ephesians 5:33, Paul picks up this conversation. He says, "Nevertheless, let every one of you in particular so love his wife even as himself. And the wife see that she reverence her husband." This is important. This is the Apostle Paul talking here. And he's talking the same language that Moses spoke when he wrote Genesis. What does the word reverence mean? This is what the Apostle Paul told wives to do, to reverence your husband. Reverence means to respect and to treat with deference. And in case you didn't know what deference is, it's after the last dash. To politely submit yourself to your husband. I emphasize the word politely. Bishop, I know you don't have that problem. Just as I don't have that problem.
My wife is very polite.
I know. She's a wonderful woman.
It's just a submission that's wrong.
Hey, First Lady Battle. I knew I was going to cover some rough ground here. First Lady will take care of that. This is important because God made Adam to crave and to need reverence, to crave and need respect. Wives, when you respect your husband, you fill his cup up. So when he goes out in the world and everybody else drains him, he's still okay. Because he knows when he comes home, you're going to fill his cup up. And when everybody else is beating up on him, he comes home and you build him up again. And trust me, we're going to get to the men here in a few minutes. But we've got a big, massive movement in our country about how women are supposed to function and how they're supposed to treat men. But this is what God says. And this is a church. And this is how you're supposed to treat your husband, with reverence. So, when you get into those bitter arguments, it's important to remember, husbands, to love your wife, and for women to respect their husbands. Because if you tear him down, he's never going to become the man that he needs to be and that you want him to be. Okay. Here are 6 ways to respect your husband. Respect his judgment. Respect his abilities. You're building him up in these areas. You're going to make him the best possible man he can be. I read a story one time, a lady who was married to the mayor. And she was talking with another couple. And the other lady said, wow, if I would have been married to him, I would have been a mayor's wife. And the mayor's wife said, no, whoever was married to me was going to be the mayor's wife. It's because she helped him to become what he became. Rather than tearing him down, she built him up. Okay? Respect what he accomplishes. Don't talk about what you want him to become in a way that makes him feel bad, but respect what he has done. Because when you respect what he has done, he's going to do more for you and himself. It's all about being the helpmeet. It's all about being what that person needs. Okay? Respect him in communication. In that same survey that I mentioned earlier, that national survey, they said men do not like to be teased by their wives in public. Men will put on a smile all while you're teasing him, but inside he's whimpering because he doesn't know how to explain to you how much that hurts. And in fact, men won't tell you how he's feeling until he can figure out a way to convince you that he's right. But women, do you feel like you have to convince a man about what you're feeling? You have to validate each other's feelings. If he tells you, this hurts me, don't tell him to grow up. Say, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. What did I do that hurt you? And what can I do not to hurt you? It's all about communication. It's all about validating and building one another up. If I tell you that hurt me, I shouldn't have to explain that I'm right. I can explain to you why, but I shouldn't have to explain why. Or, this is me. It hurt. If you stab somebody with a knife, don't you expect it to hurt? Well, we throw knives at each other all the time. It's in the power of the tongue. Okay. Respect him in public. There we go. In the Japanese culture, if you disrespect your man, you will get slapped. Respect his... What happened? What happened?
How I can become Japanese.
All right, all right. And just remember, when you hit the other person, you hit yourself. Again, when you hit the other person, you hit yourself. Because you're hindering her from being what you need. You're hurting the other person. You don't help yourself by hurting somebody else. You build that person up to build you up. Okay? Respect him in his assumptions. Now this can be difficult because we men have some wild ideas. And when we get the nerve to talk about them out loud where somebody else can hear it, because trust me, we had the conversation in our head 100 times before it came out of our mouth. Don't shoot it down. Are you getting ready to ask a question? Okay. I think I might want to ask a question. Here's what it looked like. All right. Respect him. It's respect, respect, respect. Okay? Here we go. First Lady Battle. This is how your husband should treat you. With love. Bishop, remember, love is an action word. All right. Love is feelings of affection and esteem. It means you truly want what's best for this person. And I'll give you a peek behind my marriage curtain. When I have messed up in my marriage, my wife has told me after those mess ups, the one thing that kept us together all those times was that she knew I always thought I was doing what was best for us. It's because during those times when we weren't fighting, I was always doing what would help her, would build her up. I tried to fulfill her every need. And I tried to do everything within our financial maneuverability to do so. Okay? Hate means to detest and to dislike intensely. I put that up there because you either love or hate something. I mean, you can be lukewarm on it, but hate is not what you want to do for your spouse, okay? Husbands, here are 6 ways to love your wife. Tell and show her that you love her often. These electronic things just work so good when they work the way you want them to. All right. You want to make sure that she knows that you love her. When you show her that you love her and she feels love, now there's a connective conjunction there, because you're speaking her language. You're not speaking love the way you interpret it. You're speaking love the way she interprets it. If she likes to get gifts, which is a love language, then get her gifts all the time. Doesn't have to be expensive. I was sharing this with a woman one day. She said, now remember, women love diamonds. Yeah, they do, but they love other things too that you can afford. But you have to speak her language. If your wife, I don't know what's funny, yeah, tell me later, Alice. Something's funny. If your wife loves red dresses, don't get her a black one. If you're going out on town, you want her to be in red, not in black, you're not going to a funeral. You have to speak her language and show it to her. Okay. But you have to do this often. Now, I'm going to tell you something, again, behind my curtain. I say, honey, did I tell you I love you today? She said, no, but I love you. And here's how I love you. And here's why I love you. I don't love you just because you're beautiful. There are a lot of beautiful women in the world. But I love the way you treat me. I love the way you raise our kids. I love how you do all this stuff you do for everybody else, but I'm number one in your life. He didn't put a big old smile on her face when I said that. Because that's what women crave. You want to be that special one. Okay. Make her feel that the two of you are close. This is what came out of that survey of women. There was a survey of men and there was a survey of women. Women want to know and want to feel like you're close. In her book, For Men Only, the author gave this story. And this is where I got this information. She said there was a lawyer who got a job at a new law firm. And he had to work long hours. 12, 14, 15 hours a day, sometimes 6, 7 times a week. And one day, the lady said, his wife, I don't see you very often. He said, well, I'm working to build the life that we want for each other. He said, and you've got the house, you've got all kinds of stuff that you're doing, and I'm out trying to make a lot of money so we can build the life we want. She said, I would rather have you than all of that other stuff. Now, they would rather have both if they can, but they would rather have you. I've been married for 30 years. I know my wife. And last Saturday was her father's birthday. It's the first birthday after he had passed. And when I found that out, I kept the day free. I can't work. People start saying, well, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? No, can't do it. Well, I really need you. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Because I got to be there for my wife. And I told my wife, whatever you want to do today, I'm here with you. Because she needs to feel loved. And she needs to know that I've got her back. And she needs to know that we're close. Nobody knows her like I do. So if you want to laugh or cry, I'm right here. You want to go to the gravesite and I go to the gravesite, I'm here with you. Because what hurts you hurts me. And what helps you helps me. You all know that Jerry Maguire quote, help me, help you. We have to help each other, help ourselves. Okay? All right. Make her feel that you're close. And make time together a priority. Some couples have date nights. Some couples plan for their kids to go over the night somewhere else, and then they go to a hotel. You go to the movie. You do whatever you do that you have time for each other. Just like you're doing today. I'm sure all of you have things you can be doing right now. But you're making your marriage a priority. And you're making your spouse a priority. And you're doing things together. You have to take time for your spouse. Okay? All right. Make sure she knows that you are committed to her. Women have a deep need of feeling secure. Men are providers and protectors. And that's why women like tall men with money. Because their psychological radar looks for that because it feels those needs. A tall person can protect me. And a rich man can take care of me. All right. I'm sorry. You really love your husband, don't you? I don't know what was said, but I think I know what was said. So, make sure she knows you're committed to her. And be active in the life of the home. Honey, can you do the dishes for me tonight? So you gotta make sure you do those dishes tonight. I saw a movie, I think it was, I can't think of the name right now. But Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston were a couple. And she asked him, break up. And he's in there grudgingly doing the dishes for her. And he can see that she's got a problem. He's like, what's your problem? She's like, I want you to want to help me. And you know this famous line, he said, why would I want to help you with the dishes? She didn't feel loved at that moment, did she?
Right.
Because it's all about wanting to do it. Now, they want you to do it too. So it's not just about the want. I mean, they want you to want to do it. And because you want to do it, you do it. If you can. I mean, if you don't have arms, you're not going to do the dishes. And there are times when you have to be flexible with each other to help each other. I mean, most of us, our schedules are crazy. So you have to communicate with each other about what's happening. My wife says, now look, y'all, I won't be home till 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. I said, why? Open house. Parent-teacher conferences. Something going on. And she's telling me that to let me know I'm not cooking tonight. Because when I get off work and call her, my first question is, honey, what's for dinner? So she's preempting that conversation to prepare me that you're going to have to set up dinner for yourself or get some on the way home. And that works for us. So we have to be active. I mean, we have to do laundry sometimes. It's not just taking care of the house, outside of the house, it's the inside of the house. And women, I see a lot of women cutting grass nowadays. I want you to want to help me. I drive all over Missouri, Illinois, and I see it everywhere. So it works both ways. It's reciprocal. Women, did you hear that? It's reciprocal. Okay. All right. Make every effort to provide for her as long as the first 4 are not crowded out. And that's the other ones that are up on the list. Make every effort to provide for her because women have a deep need to be provided for. Okay? Here's the bottom line. Your spouse is the only person in 1 in 7.5 billion people in the world. That's the population of Earth right now. If it's wrong, ask Alexa, because that's right out. It's those little tubes you have in your house from Amazon. You say Alexa, and she wakes up, and you ask her a question, and then she gives you the answer.
Mine is called Denise.
All right. So Jesse has Denise. I have Alice. And you have your spouse. You're the only person in 7.5 billion people. that can do what your spouse needs. 7.5 billion. That's with a B, not an M. $7.5 billion. You see why your husband needs you and why your wife needs you? Because you're the only person that can do for them. You're the only one that's their helpmeet. I don't expect other people to know me like you do. I don't expect other people to do for me what only you can do for me. And I'm not going to go out looking or accepting things from other people that only you can do for me. When you shut your spouse out of fulfilling their needs, it hurts them inside. It messes with their emotions. It messes with their intellect. It messes with their spirituality. Because they're tied up inside. Because their needs are not being met. And it's harder for them to do everything else. So it's our job as their spouse to do what they need so they can get and go where God wants them. I remember the pastor of this church when he had to preach at the Marriott for the convention. He got up and cracked a joke. He said, "My wife knows what I like." And this morning she got up and did it. And everybody just laughed all over the room. He needed breakfast. And when you have to preach somewhere you haven't preached before, you get a little nervous. And you need a sounding board. And you need somebody to do things for you. To calm you. To help you. To encourage you. To lift you up. And he preached a fantastic sermon. I still remember it to this day. Because First Lady Marie did what her husband needed. And we have to do what each other needs. Because if we don't, then we hurt ourselves. Because the other person is so tied up inside that they can't help you because they're too tied up inside. Think of it this way. Your goal in your marriage for both spouses is to outserve the other person. Brad's goal, you all forgive me, I'm friends with some of you. I came out of this church, I know most of you. But Brad's goal in his marriage is to do more for Shantae than Shantae does for him. And guess what Shantae's goal is? To do more for Brad than Brad can do for her. And if both of you are doing that, then both of you are fine. Now there's going to be times when you outdo the other person, but you don't hold it over the person's head. When I had back surgery, and then I had another back surgery 2 months later. And then 6 months later I had neck surgery. And then another month later I had another neck surgery. My wife went to work every day that she could. She wasn't there, she was sitting at the couch in her bed. "Honey, I need some water." Okay. She went down there and got some water. "Honey, I'm hungry." She just was at me beck and call. Ask me if I felt respect. Ask me if I would trade her in for anybody else. No. I felt loved by respect. I felt cared for. My needs were met. And then last year, she had lung surgery and almost died. I was up at the hospital by her side because they put a tube in her leg and she physically could not move. I think for like 24 hours. You get cramps. You get sore. I'm laying in some little contraption next to her. As uncomfortable as I could be, but I was there. And then 6 months later, she has heart surgery. How wrong would it be for me, for her to have taken care of me and not taking care of her? You know, and we have to think about these things because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know what's going to happen to you physically. You don't know what's going to happen to your job or in your family. And what you do for her is going to turn around and do for you. What goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. And it's important for us to speak the language of our spouse, because your spouse receives it when you speak their language. Okay. Be your spouse's helpmeet. This is what you're supposed to be for your spouse. You have to be for your spouse what is best suited for your spouse. Work with them. Build them up. Encourage them. And they will do the same for you. Just keep doing it. Keep working at it. Keep working at it. Ladies, men are hard-headed. But at some point we'll come around your way. If you're right. We will come around. Because after we've tried it, and while we're trying it all our way, you got to encourage us. Keep building us up. And when we finally realize we're wrong, don't say I told you so. Because now you carry us down. But you be what's best for them. If you're best at managing the money, then let the other person be the best person managing money now. We have strengths and weaknesses. I know wives who take care of the finances in the house. Historically, that's the man's job. Be what's necessary for each other. Because you chose this person to be your spouse. Hopefully, there were no shotguns involved. But you chose this person. Now make them their best, and they'll turn around and make you your best.